All right, let's dive into the world of David Goggins
Oh, yeah,
and his book, Never Finished.
definitely.
You might already know him. He's the guy, the ultra marathon runner, the
Yeah.
Navy SEAL, and he's become a wildland firefighter.
He has.
And this is not like
Yeah.
a feel-good
Not, yeah.
self-help book.
No, no.
This is about mental toughness.
Right, absolutely.
It's about pushing past your limits.
Yeah.
And he has this concept called the 40% rule. Have you heard about this?
I have. Yeah, the 40% rule is so intriguing because he argues that we really only use about 40% of our true potential.
Wow.
The other 60% is
Right.
untapped.
Wow.
And it's often because of our own self-imposed barriers.
So he's basically saying we're all capable of so much more
Exactly.
than we're currently doing.
Absolutely.
So how do we bridge that gap?
Well, he definitely offers some concrete steps, but it's
Right.
important to note that Goggins really emphasizes that this isn't about like seeking comfort
Right.
or quick fixes.
Got it.
It's about really embracing self-accountability
Mm-hmm.
and confronting those aspects of ourselves
Right.
that are holding us back.
And so his own life story, especially when you read about his childhood,
Oh, yeah.
seems to have really shaped his philosophy.
Absolutely. Goggins' childhood was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
He endured poverty, abuse, racism growing up.
Wow.
And but instead of allowing those experiences to defeat him,
Right.
he used them as fuel for personal growth.
So he kind of turned that trauma into motivation.
Precisely.
It's like he's saying, don't let your past define your present or your future.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, but how do you actually change your mindset,
It's a great question.
especially when it's rooted in such difficult experiences?
Well, one method that Goggins used and talks about in his book is actually pretty simple.
Really?
He recorded his self-talk. Huh.
By listening back to his own negative
Oh, wow.
and fearful thoughts,
Okay.
he was able to really identify those patterns
Interesting.
and actively work towards shifting to a more positive and empowering inner dialogue.
It's almost like holding up a mirror to your own negativity and
Yeah.
then you're forced to confront it.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. And so this is something that anyone can do
It is. Anyone can utilize this technique.
just by recording their own thoughts.
Right. Imagine the clarity that comes from hearing your own negativity out loud.
Yeah, I could see how that would be impactful.
Right. And the opportunity then to kind of reframe those thoughts.
But that takes a lot of self-awareness, right?
It does. It does. And that's where Goggins introduces this idea of what he calls the mental lab.
Mental lab.
He stresses the importance of consciously dissecting
Okay.
our self-doubt and anxieties,
Great.
seeing them not as weaknesses,
Interesting.
but as opportunities for mental strength training.
So instead of avoiding those uncomfortable feelings,
Right.
you lean into them.
You lean into them and you kind of treat those anxieties and doubts as muscles to be strengthened.
That's a great analogy.
It is. It really aligns with his overall philosophy of pushing past those perceived limits.
Right. And, you see that in his own journey.
Oh, absolutely.
From an overweight, struggling young man to an elite athlete.
Yeah, he didn't magically transform overnight.
Yeah.
He had to meticulously train both his mind and his body
Right.
to push beyond what he thought he was capable of.
And so those experiences in the Air Force and later the Navy SEALs,
Absolutely.
I mean, those must have played a huge role in developing this mindset.
Those programs demand an incredible level of physical and mental toughness,
Yeah.
and Goggins had to overcome so many challenges
Right.
and limitations to meet those demands.
Didn't he also have a significant experience at Air Assault School
He did.
that kind of influenced his perspective on leadership?
While he was at Air Assault School, he met an Army captain named Connolly.
Okay.
Now, Connolly was just a student like Goggins.
But his intensity and dedication were just off the charts. And it really inspired Goggins
Okay.
to strive for a higher level of excellence.
So it's like true leadership isn't always about rank or authority.
Right.
It's about setting an example
Absolutely.
and inspiring others through your actions.
And you know what? Goggins was so motivated by Connolly's work ethic
Wow.
that he actually ended up breaking
No.
Connolly's 12-mile march record
Really?
years later.
That's amazing.
It's a testament to the impact of observing and learning from those
Right.
who embody the qualities we admire.
And so we can all be leaders in our own way,
Absolutely.
regardless of our title or position.
Exactly.
Now, while Goggins definitely champions personal drive,
Mm-hmm.
he also acknowledges the significance of your foxhole.
Right.
What does he mean by that?
Well, your foxhole is that close circle of support,
Okay.
the people who understand and encourage your growth.
Right.
It's so important to surround yourself with people who push you to be better.
But he also recognizes that personal growth can be a solitary endeavor at times.
He does. There's that understanding that the path of self-improvement
Right.
can be isolating,
Yeah.
and Goggins encourages finding comfort in those moments,
Right.
being willing to fight alone when necessary.
So it's about striking that balance
Exactly.
between seeking support when you need it
Yes.
and having the courage to forge your own path.
Right.
And this is where Goggins' philosophy really shines.
He
He
does.
constantly seeks out new challenges
Mm-hmm.
that push him beyond his comfort zone.
Yeah, he's moved from ultramarathons to
Right.
wildland firefighting,
Wildland firefighting?
always seeking those deeper water experiences.
Wow. So he's not content with just achieving success.
No, not at all.
He's driven by this need for growth and self-discovery.
Exactly. He's not about reaching a certain point and then coasting.
I got it.
It's all about perpetual development and
Right.
pushing boundaries.
That's inspiring, but also a little bit daunting.
It is. It can feel a bit superhuman,
Yeah.
what he does.
So how can someone apply these principles to their own life?
That's a great question, and that's where Goggins' story becomes really relatable.
Okay.
He's encountered so much adversity himself,
Right.
from health issues to injuries to self-doubt,
Right.
and his book doesn't shy away from these experiences, but instead uses them to demonstrate that resilience is a journey.
Sure.
It's a continual process of adaptation.
Like his experience at the Moab 240?
Oh, absolutely.
That 240-mile ultra marathon.
Brutal.
I mean, he faced so many setbacks during that race.
He did. He went off course.
Wow.
He had a resurgence of his hypothyroidism,
Oh, wow.
and he even developed HAPE.
What's hippie?
HAPE is a life-threatening altitude sickness.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It does.
Most people would have given up.
Right, but not Goggins.
He kept going.
He refused to quit.
I mean, how did he do it?
Well, instead of viewing those setbacks as insurmountable obstacles,
There.
he adapted.
He redefined his 100%,
Wow.
finding new ways to train and push himself.
So even when faced with seemingly impossible odds,
Yeah.
he found a way to adjust,
Right.
reinterpret the situation, and
Interpret.
press forward.
That's Goggins.
It seems like his setbacks actually became opportunities for him
They did.
to learn and adapt,
Absolutely.
and ultimately they made him even more resilient.
That's a great observation.
And then there's his decision to become a smoke jumper at 47.
I know, right?
I mean, that's physically demanding.
Incredibly demanding, especially at that age.
Right. Most people wouldn't even consider it.
Exactly. But Goggins defied medical expectations,
Wow.
societal norms,
Right.
and his own previous limitations to achieve this goal.
It's like he needed that challenge.
He did. It was all about pursuing those deeper waters again.
And it wasn't just about proving something to himself.
Right.
It was about challenging those societal narratives
Absolutely.
about what we're capable of at different ages. He rejects those limitations completely.
He does.
He believes we all have the potential for greatness.
That's powerful.
It is. It's about tapping into that never-finished spirit.
That's the core of his philosophy, right?
Yes.
That we're all capable of so much more than we realize.
Exactly.
That we have the power to overcome adversity,
Absolutely.
push past our boundaries,
Yes.
and achieve incredible things.
That's the beauty of Goggins' message. It's
Yeah.
not a one-size-fits-all formula for success.
Right.
It's a framework for self-discovery.
I see.
It's about recognizing that inherent strength and resilience we all have within us.
So, as we delve further into Goggins and Never Finished, what are the biggest takeaways for our listeners?
Great question. I think one of the most important takeaways is the power of self-accountability.
Self-accountability.
Goggins constantly stresses taking ownership of our choices,
Okay.
our actions, and our outcomes.
So it's about shifting from that victim mentality
Precisely.
to one of empowerment.
Exactly. And another key takeaway is the importance of embracing discomfort.
Embracing discomfort.
Goggins doesn't shy away from pain or struggle.
Right.
He sees those as opportunities for growth.
Right. So growth occurs outside of our comfort zone.
It often does.
We have to be willing to embrace that struggle.
Absolutely. And then there's discipline.
Discipline.
Goggins is all about structure, routine,
Yeah.
and consistent effort.
Oh.
Remember his concept of the never-ending task list?
The never-ending task list.
It's about cultivating habits of discipline.
Okay, so small actions consistently over time.
Exactly. Small actions consistently over time lead to big change.
What about self-reflection?
Self-reflection is crucial.
Okay.
Goggins really stresses the importance of taking the time to analyze our thoughts,
Right.
our actions,
Uh-huh.
and our motivations.
Makes sense.
It's all about gaining awareness of our patterns
Right.
so we can make choices aligned with our goals.
So be mindful.
Yes,
Actively engage in that process.
absolutely. And building a strong support network.
Strong support network. That's important.
It is finding your foxhole.
Right.
Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who challenge you.
Push you to be better.
Exactly, but also be comfortable forging your own path,
Right.
even when it means defying the norm.
Okay. And what was that other big takeaway?
Oh, remember the concept of deeper water.
Deeper waters, yeah.
It's about constantly seeking those out,
Okay.
pushing past those perceived limitations,
Right.
and embracing the never-finished mindset.
So growth is a continuous process.
It is. It's a journey, not a destination.
To make this even more practical for our listeners,
Okay.
what if we distilled these takeaways into a concise list,
I love that idea.
like a Goggins top 10,
Oh, I guess top 10, yeah.
for embracing that never-finished mindset?
Let's do it. Let's break it down into 10 clear points
Okay.
that our listeners can take away and start using in their own lives.
Great. I'm ready when you are. Start.
All right, let's get started. Sounds like a plan. It's amazing how these kind of complex ideas can be condensed into these practical steps.
Right.
It really speaks to the universal appeal of his message.
Okay, so let's dive into this
Okay.
top 10 list.
All right.
So Goggins really emphasizes taking ownership, right?
He does. The first point is own your narrative.
Own your narrative.
It echoes Goggins' experience with confronting his past trauma
Okay.
and understanding that holding on to resentment was only hindering his progress.
So it's about recognizing we have the power to shape our own destiny no matter where we start.
Exactly, moving from a victim mentality to one of empowerment.
I like that.
The second principle builds on this idea of taking control.
Okay.
It's embrace the discomfort.
Embrace the discomfort. Okay.
Goggins reminds us that genuine growth rarely happens in our comfort zones.
Right. We have to be willing to kind of venture beyond those self-imposed boundaries.
We do.
And face those challenges head on.
Yes.
That's where the transformation happens.
That's a great way to put it.
Our third point, discipline equals freedom.
Discipline equals freedom.
Highlights Goggins' unwavering dedication to structure, routine, and consistent effort.
So it's about creating those habits, right?
It is.
Those small but consistent actions that lead to change.
Right. Embracing that daily grind.
Okay, what's next?
Our fourth point is self-reflection is your compass.
Self-reflection is your compass. I like that.
It emphasizes the importance of introspection,
Right.
taking time to examine our thoughts,
Okay.
actions,
Uh-huh.
and motivations.
So becoming aware of our patterns.
Yes.
Both positive and negative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can make choices that are aligned with our aspirations.
Makes sense. Okay, what about building that support network?
That's essential too, our fifth principle. Build your foxhole wisely.
Build your foxhole wisely.
Underscores the importance of surrounding ourselves with the right people.
Right, having those people in your corner
Yes.
who challenge you,
Mhm.
encourage you on your journey. Absolutely. But Goggins also recognizes that personal growth can sometimes feel solitary.
Right.
He advocates for finding comfort in navigating those challenges alone when necessary.
Okay, so being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Precisely, which leads us to our sixth point. Seek deeper water.
Seek deeper water. Okay.
Goggins constantly encourages us to push beyond our perceived limitations
Right.
and to always seek out those new challenges
Okay.
that propel us forward.
Right. So it's about embracing that lifelong pursuit of growth.
It is.
Understanding that there's always more to learn,
And
more to experience,
yeah.
more to achieve.
Our seventh point focuses on adaptation.
Adaptation. Okay.
It's find your new 100%.
Find your new 100%.
This principle speaks to Goggins' incredible ability to overcome those setbacks
Right.
and redefine his limits.
Okay.
He really exemplifies how our 100% is not static.
Right.
It fluctuates based on our circumstances.
Gotcha.
It's about finding that new baseline from which to rebuild and progress.
So setbacks become opportunities
They do.
to recalibrate,
Yeah.
discover newfound strength.
What's next on our list?
Let's see.
So eighth point, failure is a stepping stone.
Failure is a stepping stone. Okay.
Challenges us to reframe setbacks.
Right.
Goggins doesn't view setbacks as defeats, but rather as opportunities to learn and grow.
Right. It's not the end.
It's not the end.
It's just part of the process.
Absolutely. It's about developing that resilience.
Resilience.
And the ninth principle, set your own standards,
Set your own standards.
underscores Goggins' journey of rejecting external expectations and societal norms.
Right. Those things that try to put us in a box.
Exactly. It's about defining success on our own terms,
Okay.
pursuing goals that resonate with our values.
So it's about trusting your gut
Yeah.
and forging a path that feels right for you.
Precisely, even if it looks different from what's considered normal or expected.
Okay, so trusting that inner compass.
Yes, carving a path that's authentic to you.
And that brings us to our final principle, right?
It does our 10th point. Embrace the never-finished mindset.
Embrace the never-finished mindset.
Really encapsulates the essence of Goggins' philosophy.
It's about understanding that growth is an ongoing process.
It is.
It's a journey without a final destination.
It's about committing to continuous self-improvement
Right.
and relentlessly pursuing a better version of ourselves.
Okay.
It's about embracing the journey of becoming.
Before we solidify these 10 principles,
Okay.
I want to revisit one of Goggins' most remarkable feats,
All right.
his recovery from multiple knee surgeries.
Oh, yes, the microfracture surgeries.
Right.
That was a major setback for him.
I mean, many people would have just accepted those limitations.
You'd think so, but Goggins refused to let them define him.
His commitment to rehab,
It's inspiring.
pushing himself to regain that strength and mobility.
I know, even when he was in so much pain,
It's amazing.
he essentially rebuilt his body from the ground up,
Wow.
redefining his physical limits.
Right, and it's a true testament to that never-finished mindset.
It is. He refused to let those surgeries derail his journey.
I mean, it's mind-blowing.
It
His
is.
tolerance for pain and discomfort.
It's remarkable.
While we don't all need to aspire to that level of pain tolerance,
Right.
Goggins highlights the importance of pushing through discomfort
He does.
to achieve growth.
And that brings us to his decision to become a smoke jumper at 47.
A smoke jumper.
It was a bold move.
Physically demanding,
Incredibly demanding.
especially at that age.
Most people wouldn't even consider it at that point in their lives.
It's like he needed that challenge.
He did. It perfectly illustrates his relentless pursuit of those deeper waters.
Right. He wasn't content with just resting on his past accomplishments.
Not at all.
He needed to test those boundaries again.
And it went beyond proving something to himself.
Right.
It was about challenging those societal expectations about what we should or shouldn't be capable of at certain ages.
He was defying those narratives.
Exactly. Goggins rejects those limitations entirely. He believes we all have that potential for greatness, no matter our age,
Right.
background, or circumstances.
Okay.
It's about tapping into that inner drive, that never-finished spirit.
So to circle back, can we revisit those Goggins top 10 principles?
Absolutely. Let's recap those 10 points
Okay.
and provide some clarity on how our listeners can apply them to their own lives.
Perfect. I'm ready when you are. Okay, let's solidify those Goggins top 10 principles for our listeners. It's like a roadmap for embracing that never-finished philosophy, you know?
A roadmap for unlocking potential. I like that.
Okay, so where does it all start? What's the first principle?
Taking responsibility.
Yep.
Owning your story. Our first point is own your narrative.
Okay. Own your narrative.
It reflects Goggins' own experience confronting his past and realizing that, well, holding on to that resentment only held him back.
So it's about moving from a victim mentality to one of empowerment, recognizing we have the power to shape our own destinies, regardless of where we start, you know?
Precisely.
Right.
And that brings us to our second principle, embrace the discomfort. Goggins reminds us that genuine growth rarely happens when we're comfortable.
Right. Got to get outside those comfort zones.
Absolutely. We need to push past those self-imposed boundaries.
Confront those challenges head on.
You got it. It's about leaning into those moments of discomfort. They're often the catalyst for growth.
Okay, makes sense. What's the third principle?
It builds on that idea of pushing boundaries. Discipline equals freedom.
Discipline equals freedom. Okay.
Highlighting Goggins' unwavering commitment to structure and routine, and of course, consistent effort.
Right. It's about creating those habits, those small actions you do consistently over time that add up, right?
Right, embracing that daily grind, understanding that those efforts compound into something much greater.
So what's next on our list?
Our fourth principle, self-reflection, is your compass. It emphasizes the importance of, well, taking the time to really examine your thoughts, actions, and those underlying motivations.
So becoming more self-aware.
Yes, recognizing your strengths and weaknesses so you can make intentional choices that align with your goals.
It's about moving from just going through the motions to taking mindful action.
Exactly. Our fifth principle, build your foxhole wisely, speaks to the power of a good support network.
Right, having those people in your corner to challenge you and support you.
Absolutely. But Goggins also recognizes that personal growth can feel solitary at times.
It can, it can.
So he advocates for being comfortable navigating challenges alone when you need to.
Okay, so be comfortable being uncomfortable, got it.
Precisely. Which brings us to our sixth principle, seek deeper water. Goggins constantly pushes us to, well, push past those limitations we put on ourselves and always seek out those new challenges.
Keep moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Never get complacent. What's number 7 on our list?
Our seventh principle focuses on adapting to those setbacks we all face.
Okay, adaptation. How do we do that?
Find your new 100%. This principle highlights Goggins' ability to overcome those setbacks, and redefine his limits.
He's pretty incredible in that way.
He exemplifies how our 100% isn't fixed. It changes. It fluctuates based on our circumstances, and it's about finding that new baseline to start from and then progressing.
Turning those setbacks into, like, opportunities, right?
Precisely, opportunities for growth and resilience. And that leads us to our eighth principle. Failure is a stepping stone.
Okay, failure is a stepping stone.
It challenges us to look at setbacks differently. Goggins doesn't see them as defeats.
But as learning experiences, right?
Yes, as opportunities to learn and grow. It's about building resilience.
Okay, resilience.
The ninth principle, set your own standards, underscores Goggins' journey of rejecting all those external expectations, all those societal norms that try to put us in a box.
So define success on your own terms, right?
Absolutely. Pursue goals that actually mean something to you.
Goals that resonate with our values and, our aspirations.
Right. It's about trusting your gut, forging a path that feels authentic to you, even if it doesn't look like what everyone else is doing.
Okay, so trust your inner compass. Carve out your own unique path. That brings us to our final principle.
It does. Our 10th point, embrace the never-finished mindset. This one really captures the essence of Goggins' philosophy.
It's about recognizing that growth is a journey. There's no real destination,
Exactly. It's about committing to continuous self-improvement, to always striving for a better version of yourself. It's about embracing that journey of becoming.
So there we have it. The Goggins Top 10 Principles for Embracing That Never-Finished Mindset. We hope this deep dive has inspired you to, own your narrative, embrace discomfort, and push past those limitations you set on yourself.
Remember, greatness is within everyone's reach, no matter their background or where they are right now. It's that commitment to growth, that relentless pursuit of self-improvement that makes all the difference.
As Goggins would say, stay hard. Keep pushing those boundaries. Keep seeking those deeper waters, and never stop exploring your true potential. Until next time, keep diving.